Hey everyone, welcome back to DC-Cember, as we continue on to the top 10 villains from Justice League, as we start with our number 4, Vandal Savage.
He's everything I've been fighting against, the undisputed dictator of this repressive regime.
Another one like Grundy who you got to see all sorts of different angles of who he could be. He's been around for so long that eventually he's just like, well, like, there's no one to be a bad guy to, so I will just not.
I loved his arc. He really does have one of the best story arcs in the DCAU, from A Savage Time, where he's in World War II and course corrects history, and then when he comes back for what's it called, something Maid of Honor. Maid of Honor, that's right. Yep. Where he's just like a James Bond villain. And then his final appearance in Hereafter. He was never in DCAU.
No, that was all we got. We got him all very back to back, and then he was done. But yeah.
And then Justice League Infinity, but in another parallel world.
I feel like as he did with World War II, like the Maid of Honor episodes, like it shows that he can really step up the game in the present with that space rail gun he had.
Yeah, very, very James Bond villain type of plot with that
whole episode. Yeah, like it's interesting that in the DCAU we never got his like more classic like blue military looking uniform. We got close with a couple of the outfits, but they're always just like slightly wrong color or whatever. But every different facet of, like, you see the Hitler version, you see the James Bond villain version, and then you just see the like humanitarian version, essentially the only living human.
Right. Savage, the last man.
I think he's the only one that had like a complete reform story where, like, after the events in Hereafter, in the supposed future, he made a mess of things and he's just paying penance, living for eternity in solitude. Though I just like his response for having lunch while arguing with Superman, where it's like, you know, go ahead, kill me.
It looks like I had him pretty low on my list, and I'm trying to think of why. It's probably just all the ones I had him stacked up against. Even though he does have a big impact when he's around, he's not necessarily like in between episodes. He's not doing much. Like there's not like, better watch out for Vandal Savage in the wings there. But just the fact that he's a very versatile character, they're able to use him in so many different scenarios. And it is interesting that all the way in the future, he is the only one alive, which either means that he managed to kill any other immortal characters we know about, Ra's al Ghul, or maybe like the Immortal Man or anything like that we didn't get to see. But then, or those characters died otherwise or never existed or whatever, and he's it. That's all that's there. So.
No Grundy even.
No. We get to see like the farthest in the future we've ever seen society also, whenever everything starts coming back, like the timeline reverts itself. And it's funny to think how like that's even several thousand years past where Legion of Superheroes is supposed to be, and it still just basically looks like Legion of Superheroes because it's sort of an unfathomable, like, I have no idea what to design as that much farther past what we've already depicted as the most like futuristic future ever. So
I guess that's why they never bothered to put him in JLU, because like we saw what happened to him, or at least you can't really do anything else better with him.
He could be in the secret society, but I feel like he would be in a leadership role, and he'd be one of the people potentially clashing with Grodd and Luthor.
Oh yeah. He definitely would.
He probably finds the whole thing beneath him, honestly.
Well, he's been in similar teams in the comics. Like he's been on, secret societies and this one before. I know.
Yeah. It's like he's not really much of a team person. He just has like his own like henchmen, pretty much.
In the DCAU, sure.
It's such a shame that we didn't get to see more of Vandal Savage, but it's good to see that we got a good arc where he got to help Superman go back into the past and I guess live out his life somewhere else, or maybe just eventually died somehow, because the ending didn't make it clear whether or not if Savage just like faded from existence or just is not somewhere else.
Yeah, just not sitting on that rock. Yeah.
I'm immortal. I can't be killed.
We'll see.
And now for the top 3. We're starting with Amazo.
Amazo's another one that's I had a hint of understanding of who he was before the show, and then the show did a very different thing with him, but for the better, I think.
A unique take, for sure. Like, this is unlike any Amazo that's ever been in the comics.
He's the super adaptoid more than he is Amazo, which is the same concept but not the same character. I'm glad that they didn't do the whole like pointy-eared weird stripe, whatever.
The orange widow's peak.
Yeah, but then again, they do Eclipso and Dr. Destiny and all that, so why not do that? But I'm glad that it does make more sense for him to be a blank slate like that, a tabula rasa, and then he gets to add to his bits, for lack of a better way to say it. Yeah.
I guess it goes to show how much of an influence they utilize from Marvel in terms of some aspects for their characters here in Justice League.
Yeah, Bruce Timm's definitely on record for like loving Marvel, so he found a way to sneak it in.
Yeah, which is funny since Amazo has like the least amount of appearances, I think, or among the least appearances as far as villains go out of the rest of the pickings here. Like only
a handful of episodes. I mean, he's in obviously Tabula Rasa parts 1 and 2. Came back for the return, and then again in Wake the Dead, and that's it. And then Justice League Infinity, if you want to count that comic.
I think Amazo gets more points for the JL Infinity completion to his story, or at least continuation of his story, to me anyway, because in the show, his first episodes and the return are like the perfect little, like, yeah, that's totally what would happen. This is a really great philosophical questions about everything, purpose, destiny. And then when he comes back in Wake the Dead, he just goes, I don't know how to fight a zombie, bye, and then the end.
Right.
But then
just teleports away, it never comes back.
Yeah, and so anytime that you and I have talked about like ideas for furthering DCAU stories, or even on my own before I even met you, of like I'm writing like 9-year-old fan fiction, it always had to do with Amazo being some sort of like omnipresent god or something, because he was just like, how is he just floating out there and not doing anything ever again? And so I'm glad that we got that kind of wrap up sort of into his story in Justice League Infinity, because it makes him feel like a lot more not just like suddenly thrown to the wayside,
right?
And he has more of a ending. So
yeah, because he's definitely more just, I guess you could say, an antagonist than a villain, because like with all the powers that he's acquired from the League, as well as whatever else he learned in the time between Tabula Rasa and the Return, he could definitely be a force to reckon with almost anybody, even Darkseid probably.
That would have been really cool to see him go up against Brainiac, Darkseid, those kind of level characters, but I'm also sort of glad that we didn't, because it would just be the big, oh, what is Dr. Manhattan and Superman just going to punch each other? And yeah, that's what they do. So
Plus, it's really hard to top sending an entire planet to another dimension.
Yeah.
They were simply in his way.
Yeah, they sure were.
I don't think even Darkseid or Brainiac could do that.
No.
To think some just lowly LexCorp Dr. Man in this universe anyway made this guy and then died, and he'll never get to see the fact that he basically like endangered the entire multiverse there for a second before Amazo decided, actually, I don't think I'll be a bad guy. Thanks, Lex Luthor.
Yeah, because I mean, he was just basically a tool for Lex to use to try to kill the Justice League, but then when that got revealed, he just became like an angry, rebellious team, being like, you lied to me, I'm just running away, pretty much, and then decided to come back for some payback, and then just, as often teenagers do, they guess they're questioning, like, what am I going to do with my life?
I like that despite his ultimate knowledge that he's got, like he's absorbed countless, you don't get to see what he's doing in between episodes. He could do anything if they wanted him to. He's still a bit slow on the uptake. Like you still have to explain to him like, this is a shoe, or whatever. Like, but not in a way that's like, he's not stupid. He's just like, he has plenty of naivete with certain situations. And so like, even though he's this all powerful, I could snap my fingers and destroy everything guy, he's still sitting there watching Aquaman and Hawkgirl play chess, going like, why are you doing this thing this way? And that kind of thing. And Robert Picardo is a great voice actor for him as the Star Trek Voyager Doctor is a good choice, and I'm glad that we didn't get more of him, because like Vandal Savage, I think if you start pushing stories onto him, then you're kind of just fishing for ideas instead of like, these are the big things we want to do, and now we're done with this guy.
And he is a classic Justice League villain. Like Dr. Destiny, he was one of the very first villains that Justice League ever fought in the comics. But unlike that, like we've already said, he's got this really unique new take, seeking greater knowledge and being this sort of naive android. Whereas in the comics, he's just a machine that can copy the Justice League's powers at the whim of his creator.
He's like an Annihilator level guy in that.
Yeah.
He's just a tool, a machine, versus like this, he's a person, and you actually give a crap about him,
But I think my favorite funny scene with the Mazo is probably like when he sees Mercy and just activates his Flash personality, like hitting on her. But that just shows how powerful the duplication technology is, not just powers, but like their mannerisms.
Didn't figure on that one, did you?
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned, as tomorrow we'll continue with our list for the week. Also, be on the lookout for the upcoming Multiverse fundraiser on January 20th to the 22nd of next year. And click on the link to check the newest series, Anonymous, at their website and see its first 2 episodes for free. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content, as more will come on DC-Cember.